So the first thing we'll do is we'll approve the minutes for January 8th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have a couple. Under general business, it should be, instead of 7 Woodward Way, it should say 212 Howland Road.
Okay.
Okay, also, it says, as the existing building is not historically significant in any way. That isn't what was said. What was said, and if we have put this in the minutes, then the building itself is not architecturally significant, but that that it is important to the location being adjacent to the Howland House, which is the large Victorian iconic house in Westport Harbor or the Coxsett area. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, now we have the,
I move we approve the minutes
Yeah.
as amended, is that?
I second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, in our general expense account, we have $856 remaining. The town farm expense account, $775. WHC trust, $18,839. Town farm trust, $7,190. And Wolf Pit School Trust, $8,150. And I can also report there is some work going on at the town farm, and some of that is coming out of the town farm expense account. But Jim Hartnett also said that he would make up the difference. They're doing they had to do some pest removal, squirrels, and then they're starting to do some of the repair work on the roof and gutters. And that's it. That's what I have.
Okay, a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I move we approve. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 6:05.
Somebody's taking notes.
We have the continuation of an application for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a raised platform structure and other elements of a proposed pool complex at 2015 Main Road. Now, before we start, I'd just like to review the last meeting. At the minutes of the January 6th meeting, which it was found that the plans were inadequate. The plans were not legible. You wouldn't be able to see them graphically, so the public, abutters, and property owners weren't able to see exactly what was proposed. And I'm looking at them now, and I'm seeing they're not very clear either. Just a point. The applicant has built a concrete structure that totals 197 feet of concrete wall, much of which is 9 feet high. It includes a door to a room for a swimming pool equipment. This was done without application to the Historic Commission. The building inspector has issued a stop work order. The purpose of the structure is to accommodate a swimming pool, raised spa, and a pergola. At the January 8th hearing, The commission, the commission considered an application for non-applicability and also for a certificate of appropriateness. The non-applicability application was denied. And so tonight we're looking at an application for a certificate of appropriateness. The commission members, as well as abutters and point property owners, questioned the scale of the project and the adverse impact on the historic landscape. The structure is viewed from 3 sides from the river, which is a public way. A slide demonstration showed alternative designs. Suggestions were to reduce the wall height to that of a typical stone wall in the area, which was 3 feet 6 inches high. Just a note, shrubbery and any plant material is irrelevant to our discussion. We don't review shrubbery. If you notice, there's shrubbery in the drawings. Also, on February 7th, the Zoning Board of Appeals, at the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, the applicant is appealing the stop work order. That meeting is at 6:30. Okay, Mr. Branca?
Yes. So, Mr. Vice Chair, with your permission, Rogers Mayor's Town Council.
Yeah.
Just before we proceed, I would recommend that Commissioner Stuck note for the record whether he reviewed the proceedings from the prior hearing session, since he was not in attendance.
I did, I have.
Thank you, Commissioner, and with that, I'll turn it back over to you,
Okay.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Hello, my name is Paul Massett. I've been hired by the homeowner to help design and install this project. And we have brought a plan view, which is very large. Anyone can come up and look at it. It's showing replacing the decks, the spa, the pool, as well as an area for grilling. Indicating,
I can't see that.
okay, it's here.
Okay, what I'm saying is, can anyone see that from back there? The
It's too
lines are so
pale.
light, you can't see it.
Bill, some of these drawings are in the packet here. Maybe
We have
if you
extra packages as well, if
Yeah,
you'd like me to
would you-
pass them out.
pass
That
those
would
out,
be very
please.
good, because, you know, the people here have to be able to see what you're proposing.
Okay.
And primarily the walls show, but that's about it.
If anybody would like this. There you go. A couple of them.
Bill, why don't you sit here so you can see this?
Sure.
do you want to slide over one? And we can
Design company, I've been in business
Yeah,
35 years.
well made.
Landscapes all around Massachusetts and throughout New England. And we do hand drawings. And that's how we present all of our plans. So this drawing is showing planting, even though you're not interested in the planting, it's showing a raised bed. So you're interested in the grades. So these are the plans. This is the south elevation. Engineer drawings showing the height of the wall of the house, 5 foot 6 inches. The height at the furthest point out, 8 foot 10 inches, to a shelf with 4 inches of soil on top of that for grass. That would have been 8 foot 6 inches, maximum height of the wall. We're proposing in our first drawing that we brought last meeting to put in some plant material to bring the elevation of the wall, to soften the wall, the look of the wall. Now, after the last meeting, it sounded like the elevation of the wall was too high, and we proposed to bring the grade up 24 to 30 inches on this furthest point. The highest point of the wall is here in the corner. Nowhere is it 9 feet, and only here is it 8'10". From there it goes to 5'6", and on the west elevation, it goes from the 8'10" to 7'8" to 6'6". 6 foot 6 inches, 7 foot 8 inches, 8 foot 10 inches. In that drawing, we also showed some plant material which the greenery against stonework always looks nice. Here below, we've showed the grade being raised with soil and rocks. Raising the grade, bringing the height of the wall down to 6 foot from grade to top of wall. These photos right here are all large enough for anybody to see, and they all demonstrate this is a natural photo. This is the neighbor's house, everybody's trees. This is the grade finish, the actual height of the wall, the actual plant material. Everything is very appropriate. And as far as scalability goes,
could you show that over on the
as
side
far
of the
as
table?
scalability goes,
Could you show that over here, please?
oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said over there. So
That would be nice too.
the northwest to southeast corner of the property are all much higher than the pool area. So it does look like it's in scale. When you look at this property in that photo right there, all the hill comes down and it's just a slight extension of the existing landscape. And the area is loaded with stone walls. And the stone walls could be 52 inches high, they could be 6 feet high. I have this stone wall right here next to the property on the south side. It's 52 inches high. Okay, so once that wall is in and you're looking at it from next door and everything is finished, everything seems appropriate.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Does that drawing show,
It's not a drawing, it's a
the
photograph.
photographs that show you the grade of the proposed pool complex? Is that what I'm seeing there?
That is the pool area.
As you have
As it is
altered,
naturally, no,
what it's gonna look like,
this is exactly what it would look like.
okay?
Yeah.
Well,
As he described.
That we should have passed around to the,
And also, we have these booklets with the photos that we can pass around if you'd like.
as it will look like.
As it will look,
Okay,
all right? And we have a lot of, see, the point is loaded with stonework. You look around and
Photos now.
the majority of what you see is stonework.
okay, Betty.
This is actually,
Why don't we put them out a little higher?
this picture shows the stonework finished without any plant material around. The wall being 6 foot 6 inches over here,
Betty.
like 8 foot 6 inches over here is the height of the whole wall. That's what it looks like finished. And this is an actual photograph and we just pasted on the stonework. It doesn't look inappropriate, it looks like it's been there. You're dealing with a 1980s ranch. It looks more historically appropriate than it did before.
Oh.
When you look at the area on the board, here's another photograph from 5 or 6 houses down on the same side. When you look off in the direction, looking north, we left the concrete wall in place right now, the concrete wall there, just because you could take a look and see how it relates to all the elevations in the area. The elevation of this pool area is the same height as the elevation on the neighbor's driveway. The elevation of the neighbor's pergola is the same height as the elevation of the pergola in this structure here. It does relate to the surrounding landscape. It's in character.
A question, you have not reduced the height of the wall.
The height of the wall has been reduced by 24 to 30 inches in this corner.
By raising the
Raising the ground,
grade
which
below
is
it.
You're berming it up.
semantics.
Correct.
Bringing the height of the walls down.
By
to
berming,
6 foot.
you're berming up.
Correct.
We're putting soils around it with some natural stones. And again, as far as what's going on in the whole area, it's very similar to everything else that's being done.
We're interested in the existing grade.
The existing
Yeah,
grade,
I mean, if, you know, by this theory, I mean, anybody could build a wall as tall as they want and then just put a berm around it and say it's
No,
appropriate.
there are boulders that were existing on site that were
Do you have,
going to be
do
used.
you have pictures of the pre-existing?
Of the
condi-
boulders?
Do you have pictures of the pre-existing condition on the site?
Without
With us.
the wall? Those are in the initial file.
Do you have those here?
Garrett, we have some
We have
photos
pictures.
that-
Pictures from
Also-
beforehand?
This
Yeah.
is the
Um,
existing
You're
now.
You're welcome to come up and look at. These are from the north
angle.
Right now,
Of how it
right
looks.
now, nothing, there's been no backfilling done. So it may look 12 and 14 feet tall, because there's 5 feet still that needs soil around it. There's a hole around the whole area.
And these are interesting because they show, after the last storm, all the stonework down here was completely underwater. The water went up quite a ways in the lawn. You can see where the structure starts here. And this was all underwater, which of course is something to contend with as well. So
Correct,
you
which
can
is another reason why
pass
we
these
wanted
out.
to do this project, because we are worried about the encroaching waterfront. The last storm, as you pointed out,
Right.
wasn't a hurricane. It was basically a bad rainstorm with a storm surge. Not much of a storm surge. And we believe it's
Deborah?
going to get worse.
Do you have duplicates? We'll send them back.
Yeah, we have some duplicates.
I mean, we don't need them. We've seen
Now, on these photographs,
Yeah.
you have included the plant material, and it does not show what you're describing as stone raised beds. So you're going to have a stone wall with a stone raised bed.
Which photograph are you looking at? So on that photograph, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the wall, I know it's a little bit small, but it is drawn in this west elevation. On this right-hand corner, you see 2 boulders in the drawing and a third in the drawing. In this photograph, if you look, you see some boulders. They're not really what we want to look at. We want to have them there to help us change the grade, but we want them softened with plant material.
Well, plant material does not
count.
count with
Well, that's
us.
what, but in this situation.
That's why I want to see the boulders. I think we want to see the boulders.
Well, they're in plan right here. So when you look at the plan, it shows 1, 2, 3 boulders on that corner,
Yeah.
raising that corner's grade.
Okay.
They're in plan right here.
And here's, without showing anything, from the water.
Right.
This is the wall from the water without showing anything. It doesn't hide the house.
Again, the elevation is the same as the elevation in the driveway to the southeast and to the property next door to the northwest. The elevations are the same. So as far as scalability, it's not
And that's-
sticking out of the ground by itself.
And that's without permitting, without anything. And so we can get on record.
Well, just a point I have to make,
I understand.
and that is that we have to see those boulders or what
They're in plan right
what
here.
they're going to look
They're on the plan.
Well, that isn't enough.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at this, and I'm
And
just
they're in
seeing a bunch
it.
of
Well, there's no
shrubs.
boulders on that side because that's the north side. The north side goes from 6 foot 6 inches at the house, which is this tall. There's other walls in the area taller than that. The retaining wall, there are walls in the area that are taller than 6'6".
There's one next door, that's
This one
right
is
next door,
6'6", and it
maybe
goes
60, 70 yards from that wall. It's almost 8 feet
on the
tall.
north side, I thought it was appropriateness. I'm assuming that it's an overall aesthetic at the end of the day, what things are supposed to look like. So we put in plants because that's what it's going to look like. And when you look at it in the photograph, along with the rest of the neighborhood, the picture is right there. We didn't make anything up. The house is there, everything is there, the size is there. It fits right in. I mean, when we finish a job, I've been at this for 35 years. Many times we finish a job, it's always said it looks like it's been there forever.
Okay, any questions from the commission members?
Okay, so one of the meetings prior to this one, a gentleman in the audience was here tonight, John Moriarty, talked about cutting the foundation using equipment that's readily available to get this to a more reasonable level for this area. Have you considered that
We have.
recommendation at all?
Yes, I think everything's been taken into consideration. I was at the last meeting. I didn't have an opportunity to speak, but I listened to everybody. And one of the drawings, one of the cartoon images that came up to show the different types of landscape that could be done, one of them was tiered, and it would have brought the pool down to about 3 or 4 feet out of grade, and it would have been in sight of everywhere. From all the waters you'd have driven by, it looked like a small hotel when you were looking into somebody's pool area. The reason for the elevation of this pool is because it puts the pool out of sight, And when when the homeowners are using their pool, they're not being viewed by everybody. Everything is private. And again, by looking at the pictures, you look across there and all you see is some simple stonework matching the stonework in the area along with some plantings. It's
Again,
very
I'll ask my
simple.
question again, so maybe you'll answer it.
We
this
have-
time.
we
Have
have
you considered
considered it. We
the recommendation that was made by Mr. Moriarty, and what was your process in considering that?
Felt like by bringing the wall down 2 feet, you're gonna be on the water in a boat, looking straight at the pool, right right face to face with everybody.
Such is the problem of having a waterfront property, but that's not our concern.
The other issue, and I did raise it, is that there's ledge on that site, so we built over the ledge. We had to go through the ledge just to build the trench. So it would not be feasible for us to restart the project. It would have to come out, everything would have to come out. We can't blast there. And I've done projects with this ledge and there's blasting, and there's places you can't blast. This would be one of those. And then, as just noted, that's where the water comes up. I don't want to build something to have it submerged and lost. It just doesn't, it
Well,
just
what you
doesn't.
built already out there, the Stonehenge thing, is already submerged when there's a high tide. So,
That's why it was designed to be stone, so that when the water recedes, it stays in place.
all right, just to be clear, you keep bringing up pool. This is not just a pool. This is a huge complex.
It's a structure.
It's 60 by 90. It's much more than a pool. A pool, a little backyard pool is one thing. This is not that. So
It's not at grade.
let's just be clear.
It's not at grade. It's
So
a
when you
structure that is, it's at grade now because you created a new grade by berming it and creating a new structure. That is not
Similar
at
to-
grade.
So what, when
similar
I
to
step,
surrounding
Which is
grades.
kind of cheating.
It's the same grade as his side yard, and it's the same grade as his front yard, and it's the same grade as the neighbor's yard.
You're
It's
creating a grade. You're creating a new grade. I
the
think that
gra-
was
there was a
Bill's-
grade
My front yard
there.
is appreciably higher than my backyard.
Yeah, I mean, it's on
I
your
live on a
plans,
hill.
that the top of the wall in the southwest corner is 8 feet 10 inches above the existing grade, period.
8'6" at the top.
Well, it's equivalent.
But it's
It's
not at
good.
grade, is the
It's,
point.
yeah, it's not at grade, putting a berm there.
So when you
Um,
say at grade, could you please explain what you mean?
Okay, Mr. Collins, who was here at the last meeting, showed exactly what that means. He said that there was a way to.
No, I
do
mean
this.
legally, and under the guidelines, what does it mean?
All right,
Because we've had this
I'll
conversation.
I'll refer to the guideline, I'll read it
At-
into
So
the.
I'm getting
At
confused.
grade is at grade. I mean, it is at the grade of the land.
Right,
And
so,
we, in our guidelines or bylaw, it says that we do not review anything at grade. That would mean we don't review a driveway. And we don't review swimming pools. It says that in the bylaw. If they are at grade, not an above-ground swimming
that,
pool.
th-
This one's
I'm
9 feet
confused
above.
because that's not the bylaw that I read. The bylaw that I read, swimming pools were swimming pools that were not viewable from a public way, were not reviewable.
No, it
That's the
wasn't.
only
At
time.
grade does not refer to swimming pools.
That's right, in that clause, that's the only clause that mentions swimming pools. And it says
It went
that-
out of its way to mention
It says that
swimming
swimming pools, if they're not substantially at grade, if
No.
they're visible from a public way,
Correct.
then they are under our jurisdiction.
Not
As,
under your-
as your structure is, visible from a public way.
The wall is visible.
It's a
from-
structure.
It's a structure.
It's not,
It's a structure that
every wall is-
contains,
Structure all day
it's a
long.
structure that contains a swimming pool, it contains a mechanical room, it
hot
takes a
tub?
room size, it contains a room-size spa, it has a kitchen. Who knows what else it's gonna have?
Has a grill.
Has a grill.
There's a kitchen wall, there's a knee wall for a kitchen in this. It's on your drawing.
It's a grilling island. There's gonna be a grill in there.
Look at the elevation.
There's no sink, there's no refrigerator, I mean, it's a,
Well, you haven't shown us what's there, but there's that segment of the wall that comes up in the elevation.
Yeah.
By the way, what's the height from the top of that part of the wall to grade?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Take the knee wall for your kitchen. No, it's in the drawing below. Well, yeah, I guess it's in that drawing too. But take that knee wall, go to the left top corner,
7'6".
It's more than it is, it's more than 810, it's more than what it is in the southwest corner.
Well, no, it's only 5'6" to the wall, and it's only 24 inches tall, so it's 7'6".
I'm talking about the top left corner of the knee wall, right there, yep, to the
Yeah.
grade.
This black line indicates finished grade. It carries all the way across to the stairs. And in here, it goes from 5'6", right across there. 5'6", 7'6"-ish. It's, the land drops down considerably in this area. It's a
Yeah.
steep hill.
I'm just looking at the drawings that, that you distributed earlier,
Well, this, for example,
south wall
north
elevations.
wall elevation says the top of the concrete is at 16.5.
16.5 is, the top of the wall here, and the north elevation is 7 foot 8 inches. The 16.5 is from plan. If you did the math, you could come up with a 7.8. 7.8 is finished grade.
After the berm has been created.
No, before.
Seven.
From where the ground is today,
Yeah, 7
from where
foot
Mother
8
Nature
inches.
put the ground.
A large part of the wall is underground.
This
It's a
corner is
footing.
6 foot. This corner to the house right here is 6 foot. As you come out the back door, you're 6 feet tall with that wall right there. As you get into this corner, it goes to 7.8 from, and they're measuring it. You see that number right there? Along with that number, you'll get 7.8, and that's to that line. You add another 6 inches of soil, you'll be at 7 foot 2 inches. And again,
Also above grade.
Also,
Yeah,
Also above grade.
wow.
Substantially above grade. Okay, should I read
Yeah,
into the
let's
record? This is
read into the
exactly
record.
what it says,
This is
okay?
the bylaw now.
This is the bylaw, and this is section F, Certificate of Non-Applicability, Part 3. The original Westport Historical Commission bylaw established a list of activities outside the commission's purview, e.g. terraces, walks, driveways, etc., being structures substantially at grade. Work not visible from a public way. In addition, Section 9 establishes commission powers shall not be construed to prevent ordinary maintenance, repair, replacement, et cetera. That's not applicable here, but it's very clear, substantially at grade. All of the numbers that you just quoted, none of them are substantially at grade. None of them. This is an above-ground structure that you've constructed, and now you want to stick an in-ground pool into the new structure. That's what you're doing. It's very clear to anybody who looks at any of these photographs. This is a structure. All day long, it's a structure. So we don't agree that it's at grade at all.
No one's contending that it was at grade. The grade, part of the property, part of the project is at grade. Because unless you're contending that we walked out of the back of our house, fell down 8 feet, 10 inches every time we did it, then
There's such thing
it's
called
not at grade.
ramps too, ramps to get you down to another level. Lots of beautiful ways to do ramps. We have dealt with ramps our whole lives. Our son is disabled and we have ramps all the time. They're beautiful. They're absolutely stunning. Walkways that are absolutely stunning. You don't have to have fall off your balcony to go into your pool.
No, what I'm saying was there is an existing grade.
Of course there's a
That
grade,
was the
and you have
back
to
of the
work with
house.
the land. I think the gentleman who was here last time, is it Jim Collins, is that his name?
Yes, Jim.
Okay, he gave a beautiful presentation by a student from Rice University, showing how such a pool could have been constructed closer to the house and lower.
That was a multi-level structure. It looked like a Las Vegas pool complex.
Well, maybe to you,
And
but
that's
we
not
thought
what we
that
wanted
was
to build.
pretty nice. We
That
thought
was
it
not
pretty
historically
nice.
appropriate. And we started at that, that was how we started with the design, and we decided it was not appropriate.
Well, you decided it wasn't appropriate, but you never came to us to decide what was
Yeah,
appropriate.
This
and
was in the
is where you
design
should have
phase
come.
long before we applied for permits. This was 2 years ago.
Talking-
Okay.
yeah, so I have some comments. So I'd like to read something into the record from state law. This is Section 7 of Chapter 40C. In passing upon matters before it, the commission shall consider, among other things, the historic and architectural value and significance of the site, of the site, building, or structure, the general design, arrangement, texture, material, and color of the features involved, and the relation of such features to similar features of buildings and structures in the surrounding area. In the case of new construction or additions to existing buildings or structures, the Commission shall consider the appropriateness of the size and shape of the building or structure, both in relation to the land area upon which the building or structure is situated and to buildings and structures in the vicinity. And the Commission may, in appropriate cases, impose dimensional and setback requirements in addition to those required by applicable ordinance or bylaw. So this is a massive structure. There's nothing like it in Westport.
So I
It
believe,
does have stone in it, and there are stones in Westport, but that's about where it ends.
so I believe,
Let
back to what you just
let me-
said.
let me-
I'm sorry,
Let me
can-
finish.
can I re-
No, let me finish. It's a massive structure. There's no denying that. And this structure is going to have a tremendous effect on that whole area around your house and around the structure. It will change the nature of that whole area, which is one of the nicest views from the water, heavily trafficked area of the water. It's going to change the character of that place. Now, you've drawn something here that in your drawings is very austere, but that's not how it's really going to look. Because you have the structure here, on top of it there'll be a railing, which adds another 3 foot 6 inches to it. There'll be lots of furniture on that deck. There'll be a kitchen, there'll be gas grills, and people will look at this from the water, and what they'll see is they'll see a 90-foot long stone wall that's 8 feet 10 inches high in the corner, a deck that's full of toys, playthings, kitchens, grills, a spa, whatever, a railing, which, I mean, in your plan is totally inappropriate. It's either shiny glass or metal and steel, I mean, cables and steel posts. It's just not appropriate.
so,
When you say
Let-
that what they're gonna see, we're showing you right here what they're going to see. When you look at these photographs and you look from the water back, if you brush your eye through this area, it blends in.
It does not blend in.
It doesn't.
So let's take the.
let me address your comment. You read from the state statute, I'm familiar with it.
Mhm.
I believe Mr. Massett read into the record the grades. He demonstrated that it does match the grades, it does match surrounding. There's an 8-foot retaining wall next door. Like, I can see it. There's a picture of it right there. It's in the record. So to say that it's out of character,
How
I
long is
think
that? How long is that reading?
belies the evidence that is in the record, that if you've seen the site, you should know that. It's there. It does blend in. It was designed to be incorporated to look like it was part of the surroundings. It's matched the grades, shot the grades. There are photographs of it that show you, even from down further south on the point, which is a substantially lower elevation. If you look north to it, it doesn't rise substantially above what the retaining walls are existing there. You can barely see it. And that's showing it with concrete. Without it, having stone.
Can you point to another 90-foot stone wall, stone retaining
I
wall?
can go
in
around and
Westport?
measure walls if you'd like, I can, but I haven't done that.
Just
But I
off the
don't
top
trespass
of
on
your head,
people's
I mean-
properties, I don't fly drones over them.
A 50-foot wall? 40-foot wall?
I believe the one
Anybody?
next door
Anybody
is
know
more
of
than
such a
that.
wall?
I believe the one next door is more than that.
More than 40 feet long?
I believe so.
The wall between the properties on the north side is a retaining wall. And it runs the length of the property. I don't know if it's always been like that, maybe it was
That's more than
built up
100
against-
feet.
Is that where a septic system was mounted?
It may be
You
built
know?
other side of the wall contains.
Yeah.
So, and that's a 5-foot wall on that left
That's
side.
more than 100
on
feet
the north
long.
side of the property.
And that's on the property.
In the photos that were taken and the images that were done, you look at this, and I don't know how you can say that it does not blend in with the surroundings. And you're saying what people are gonna see from the water. We've got a photograph right there. We didn't doctor anything up. The house, the trees, the neighbors' houses.
There's
it's all
there's
there.
nothing on that photograph
And-
other
and-
than the
and When
wall.
you look at it, it looks like it's been there. Finished product looks like it's been there.
Just one thing, that you're comparing it to another retaining wall in the location.
Comparing it, I just said there is a
There
retaining.
is, but you see, that is irrelevant to us because that could have been approved by a historic commission 30 years ago. And this is the historic commission today, and we're looking at it possibly with different eyes. You have a 56-foot wall, a 56-foot amount of concrete showing, I should say, from the west elevation. That is a large retaining wall. From the south elevation, you see a 91-foot wall, and from the north, it's a 50-foot concrete structure. That is massive.
There was a concrete retaining wall there prior to this project. There was a retaining wall on the other side. There's an existing retaining wall on the north side. So there were retaining walls there already. They were covered with shrubbery. They were in failure. We replaced them when we had to take out the septic system because we had to upgrade the septic system. So there was a hill there. There was a large grade, and
aware
there
of
were
that.
large retaining walls.
I'm aware of
There
what
were
it
there, and
looked
they
like.
were approved when that house got built in 1980 with a certificate
I
of
mean, I'm
appropriateness.
aware of what it looked like before because we do have photographs of the before.
Correct.
And that retaining wall, the concrete retaining wall that you mentioned, how high was it?
At the highest point, it was higher than this wall on both sides. One tapered down, one curved out. And they were covered with shrubbery, so they were difficult to see.
Irrelevant.
Well, they were there. My point is they were there.
To say it isn't visible because it's covered by a
And-
tree
and-
doesn't count.
Who's their neighbor?
Okay, do we have any more discussion from the commission members?
I have a few more things to say. So, again, coming back to this, this massive stone wall, I mean, I think you're under the impression that people are going to believe that this is a historic stone wall, or that it looks something like a historic stone wall. I can't see how anybody would mistake it for that. It's a wall with a completely level edge on the top. It's taller than almost every wall around. It's 90 feet long. I mean, it's clearly part of a structure. It will have a railing on top of it. I mean,
Law requires a railing, yeah.
the law requires a railing, which may be a reason that you can't do what you want to do here, because it wouldn't be appropriate. It's, you know, you've got things backwards here, right?
Our intent was to make the fence disappear to the
So
extent we could.
let's talk about that. So,
Sure.
so you've offered two transparent options. Transparency is not necessarily a priority of the commission. If it were, we wouldn't ask for divided lights when people replace their windows. So that the glass railing that you've proposed will be extremely visible. The light will glint off it. It will look completely unlike anything else down at the point.
We're looking at a low lead glass that, and I've submitted examples of it in similar environments, where the wall, the fence is very hard to discern. That's extra maintenance for my family, I have to keep it clean, but yeah.
Yeah, it will be highly visible. I mean, you'll be able to look through it, but it will be highly visible. The light will glint off it. It will, you'll see reflections in it. The glass is not invisible. It may be transparent, but it's not invisible. And especially large planes, large pieces of glass in the same plane are extremely visible. Your other railing option, cable and steel posts, I mean, again, it's not appropriate.
There are other examples in the historic district, in glasses specifically called out in the guidelines as an appropriate material. I mean, these are the rules.
Where is
Try to
that?
follow the rules
Where is that called out?
in your guidelines. Materials chosen for projects with
Glass railings?
glass, metal.
Well, I don't think there's anything specifically about having glass railings.
Well, again, we read the guidelines.
I have read
We
the
incorporated
guidelines.
what we thought the guidelines said. They don't say no glass fence. Again, we've done work in other historic areas. Things are very detailed.
Mhm.
I understand Westport doesn't have that. And this group is volunteers, and you're trying to get by with what you have. And so are we. And we're trying to get to the point, excuse me?
I wouldn't go there, sir.
So, look, you asked me not to bring an attorney, I didn't bring an attorney, okay? Well, I see 3 others here, not mine, but here I am, by myself, dealing with this. So, there are specific words in the guidelines that, and again, and in the state law, and we believe we've demonstrated we comply with all of that. Now, we're here in good faith. I don't want to go to Superior Court. Nobody wants to go to Superior Court. I'd rather work with what we have, because we're here, where we are now. To demolish the project and start over again is not going to be something that we're capable of doing. So that's not going to happen. It's an impossibility for us. So we're trying to make the project we designed work. That's why we're here.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I may.
Yeah.
Again, Roger Smirch, Town Council. No one made any request to the applicant not to have council presence tonight. I just want to make that clear. The applicant had every right and opportunity to have council present, as he has had at the prior meetings.
Correct.
I'll let the record speak for itself, but we noted.
Okay, so I think we should open this to the abutters and the point
Bill,
property.
can I say one more thing
Oh, okay,
before?
sure.
So, I'd like to say something about the quality of the application, the completeness of it. So generally, when we see applications, we have plans, elevations of the existing conditions before the project is started. And then we have plans and elevations of what's proposed. We have descriptions, catalog cuts, samples of materials. We have paint colors. We have light fixtures. We have a great deal of detail. I think the larger the project is, the more detail we need. And there's a lot of detail missing from your application. Let's take lighting. The Historical Commission has jurisdiction over landscape lighting. Are you aware of that?
We're not proposing any landscape lighting.
So this will be a totally unlit complex. Is that what
The
you're saying?
exterior would be, yes.
No lights whatsoever on the pool deck.
We haven't even gotten to that point yet. But there'd be,
Well, that's
there'd be-
exactly my point. That's exactly my point. is
there are
that-
lights on the exterior of the house now. We haven't added any.
I don't think that's exactly what Garrett was
Yeah.
speaking to.
Are you willing to commit? I mean, if you asked us to vote on this
If we were
proposal
going to
tonight,
propose it, we would come back. But again.
No, but that's not, doing these things incrementally. I mean, somebody made this point at the last meeting. Doing these things incrementally doesn't result in a good outcome. And so I believe that you're going to have lighting on this structure. And that is a very important issue for this structure because the character of Westport Point, it's very dark, and that adds to its historical quality. And if you take this pool complex and light it up,
That would not be,
I don't
Desirable.
I don't know what you're planning, but what I am saying is that your lighting plan needs to be in your application before we can approve it.
so again, my contractors filed for permits. So why you don't have before, after all of that, my contractors filed for permits. They got permits. I wasn't even in town when that happened. That was last spring. Typically have work commitments outside the state during the spring. That happened. Permits were issued. We waited until after the summer season to be as least disruptive as possible to begin the project. It wasn't until November of this year that any of this happened. That's where we are. We're trying to move forward from here, right? So if you want us to come back for lighting plans, we haven't designed lighting plans, but it'd be minimal. There'd be lights under the pergola to be on when we're out there at night, which would not be often. And that would be it. Maybe lights inside the pool, which you would not be able to see because the pool is level. You mentioned furniture, etc. There can't really be much furniture there because the pool is up against the end of the wall. So I can't put furniture in the pool. It would have to be back by the house where there was furniture on the prior deck. So we wouldn't be adding a whole variety of new elements like that. If there were pool toys there, they would be there when my children, my nieces and nephews who live in the area, and hopefully if we're blessed with grandchildren, grandchildren toys. Those come in. That's not, it's not as you describe. The project is not as you describe. I have multiple family members in the area. That is what this is designed for. It's a family gathering place. Having a multi-level structure that looks like a Las Vegas pool complex is not what we want. And I don't think it's what you want either, because that's what it looked like to us. We originally looked at landscaped multiple levels, and we thought it was way too much going on in the context of Westport Point and where this particular property sits. This fits, we believe, much more in, and if you look at the photographs of where the grades are, it completely matches everything around it.
Okay, could we get to the comments from the abutters and property owners?
Good evening, Mr. Kendo. For the record, my name is Attorney Bob Feingold from New Bedford, and I represent the abutters. I sense that the Commission is sensitive to the same issues that we are sensitive to.
Are you able to hear him?
No.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
I'll try.
Thank you.
Okay. Essentially, there are two basic issues that the Commission is confronting. One is jurisdictional, and one is the substance of the proposal. I'd like to address the jurisdictional issue first. We object to the idea that Mr. Branca has not accepted the jurisdiction of this commission. What he's essentially doing is looking for an advisory opinion. If you give him the decision he wants, fine. If you don't, he's going to court to challenge the fact that you have jurisdiction. We think that's inappropriate. In a court of law, judges do not render advisory opinions. So I am stating today, I'm arguing that you should take a position that if he does not agree that the commission has jurisdiction over the review of this project, you should deny it on that ground alone. And don't give him an advisory opinion on the content of his. Then he'd have to go to court to have the court declare that you don't have, that you do or don't have jurisdiction. But that's where it should start. The other reason you have jurisdiction is what your commission members have already said. I brought photographs of the structure, and my argument is that that speaks for itself. The guidelines say it, the statute says it, the bylaw of Westport says it, but nothing says this is a structure better than the photograph you already exhibited. I have some too. It's a huge structure with a door and a room and a wall, and it's very high. In one spot, it's about 8 foot 10 inches. But remember, he also said that in the other sides, the other angles, it's 6 and 7 feet tall, above grade. I believe 3.5 feet is more than normal. He cited an 8-foot wall next door. It's not. I believe it's about 6 feet. But that is one wall. The average wall in Westport is about 3.5, maybe 4 feet, not 8 foot. Not 8 foot. I couldn't agree more that this is totally inappropriate to Westport Point, one of the most beautiful places in Massachusetts. The sunsets, the sunrise, the sunsets especially are amazing. It's a natural environment. This is not at all consistent with what is the beautiful Westport Point at all. One other point, it's not just the foundation. You've got so many things on top of it. The pergola will probably be 10 feet. So you're looking at 19 feet. That's a lot of verticality. It's not just 8.5, 8.10. You're really looking at a 20-foot structure. I didn't take into account all of the other things that would be there for the pool and the kitchen and all of that. It's going to be busy, and I think Mr. Stuck, that you are very right to point out it's going to be a very busy, probably well-lit area, because if you have a swimming pool and it's hot in June and July and August, you're going to be out there after sunset and you're going to put on the lights. And you know, I bought a boat to take pictures of the birds on Westport Point, not the light. You know, it really is a distraction. So Mr. Moriarty's here and he wants to speak to the substance of the plan. We ask that you deny it for the two reasons that I stated. Thank you.
If I can address that. First off, this isn't a court of law. This is a certificate of appropriateness hearing. That's we're talking about the project. We're not talking about jurisdiction. We can if you'd like. I'd rather not go to Superior Court. No one wants to go to Superior Court. The property next door, if this is a 6-foot wall, I'll eat my hat. Here it is. Make sure that we can see it for the record. It's higher than the door next to it. An average door, standard door, 7 feet 8 inches tall. For that, if that roof line is under 6 feet, then the wall is the wall is higher than it. So you have a living area that's less than 6 feet tall. That's totally incorrect. That's a gross mischaracterization of the wall right next door.
The standard height for a door is 6'8", and very often 6'6".
Sir,
The wall is taller.
I measured it. I took a boat ride with Rick, what's Rick's last name? Rick Smith. And we saw the wall, stood him against the wall, measured the wall. It's about 6 feet.
Okay, it's 6 feet. Let's just accept that.
And
If he says it's been measured at 6 feet,
there's no evidence that you were talking about grades, evidence, picture. Well, I don't see any of that, so I'm not going to necessarily accept that conclusion, number one. Number two, there's the retaining wall along that side. There it is there. It's much longer than the wall, any single wall on my project. And that's on my property and on the property next door.
Are you saying that these two examples are comparable to what you're building?
We were talking about the length of the wall.
I'm talking about the
length of
overall
the
structure.
wall.
The overall structure.
we're talking about the mass of this structure.
Every wall is a
When
structure.
you look at the structure finished, it blends in with the environment. There's one house next door that's 3 stories out of the ground with 15 windows. There can't be any more light in the area than that. And as far as appropriateness goes, that's an opinion. But when it's all said and done and finished and grassed and planted, and somebody drives their boat by and they look onto the land, they're gonna see that, look, we're right there. And it's gonna disappear. It's right here, it's clear. This is what it's gonna look like. There's no smoke and mirrors. It looks like it's supposed to be there. So as far as appropriateness goes, it's appropriate. The pergola next door is 7 feet tall outside the front entry. It's the same exact elevation as the pergola at this house. When you go from one side of that property to the left, all the way across, the pergolas are no higher than each other. They look the same.
And again, to say my project is 20 feet tall because I have a pergola outside my door that reaches the height of the walkout door, that's what it is. We're not measuring from the ground at the bottom of the property. I don't walk out of my house to the ground at the bottom of the property.
Scalability, it's an extension of the inside of the house. It's like the front entry goes through the house into the rear entry. It's very much at scale. And when you look around the whole area, there's only one thing that's really not in scale at the whole point. It's a 3-story house with an orange chimney.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I'm John Moriarty. I'm a resident of the Point, and my concern was really about jurisdiction. I bought a place in the Point, fell in love with it 17 or 18 years ago, and it's a special place, and I don't want it to look like Miami Beach. So I came down last week and met with Rob to try to say, there might be common ground here that we could get to, and I suggested that I gave you this example. When we were building we recently did the new addition to the Museum of Fine Arts, and we had this 40-foot deep foundation. And we were concerned about how it interrelated to the water table of the Muddy River that runs literally right through that area. So I suggested that we do what we did there, is we go out and snap some lines on these existing walls so that we have an understanding. If you see this massive 60 by 90, 5,400 square foot thing, and you see a line snapped on it that says this is the original grade, and you have a line snapped across it that says this is the grade of the top of my berm that I propose. And then you have a line snapped on it that says this is the top of the wall. The top of the wall is not the finished grade. There's going to be stuff on top of it. So whether it's 4 inches, or 6 inches, or 8 inches, or 10 inches, there's going to be something on top of this. And then you could then say, this is how this will look before we start talking about it. But in order to get there, you have to agree with this jurisdiction. Because to try to come to a compromise, if we're not agreeing, when we get to something that you people can live with, we're going to live with it, is, to me, disingenuous. So we talked about that and thought it was a good idea, that we would go snap those.
And we will do that.
Yeah. And so we need.
It hasn't been appropriate weather to do it.
Yeah. But, it needs to be done because it gives you the character. Now, and I think excuse me for just calling you Rob, but I think in Rob's opinion, he thinks when you snap those lines, you're going to look at it and say, the vision that you see is what his designer sees, which is appropriate. I'm of the opinion that when you see that in reality, as awful as it looks now, I don't think that by snapping those grades and showing those berms that we're going to show a solution is acceptable. It's still going to look like the term that was used last meeting was plinth. There's been this enormous plinth built out there. There's a huge bulkhead, and you won't be able to see out on top of it because from the water, you used to be able to see it from the water. So my opinion is that there is a compromise here, which is, and I believe me, I understand. I think when you applied for new ground pool, think you could dig a hole and build a pool. And then you hit ledge. And then they needed to get another solution. So then we decided to build a big bulwark of a thing to put the pool inside it and still call it a pool at grade. And that couldn't be done. And now we've hit ledge, and that changes the whole theory of where we want to be, how high up we want to be, and what the grade change is. And I actually, I'm guilty. I have a pool on the Point. And I went through the process. And I have a 10-foot wall probably because it was an existing change in elevation from what is the first floor of my house to the basement of my house. And we exposed the original wall. And it's made of blocks. It's not a veneer. It's a big, thick block wall. And I have another one because I have a 2-story barn. My house is 230 years old. And the barn is, I don't know, maybe 100 years old. We don't have a history of it. But the barn is one of those situations with the backside of the barn has a retaining wall because there's a natural change in grade, or there was a change in grade made, 50 or 100 years ago. I think that if you could come to this, and Jim Collins is not here tonight, couldn't be here. He's the guy that did the sketch, had the sketches done for us, and I shared with Rob this approach, which is let's kind of everybody move a little bit. Let's move the pool elevation down. Let's maybe not have the pool be as deep, and let's do a little bit of berm, so that we can end up with a 3'6", and we can argue forever whether 3'6", 5'10", 4'8", 8'10", or 9 feet. We can argue about that forever. But if we get to this compromise that says it needs to be a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of excavation, then you get to something that I think the people that are here, and I'm only contending because I'm trying to protect the Point. I don't view it directly unless I'm in my boat one night. So I think that when I spoke to Rob about this, I said I think that's a solution that can work, and I was immediately dismissed by saying, well, we're not going to cut the wall down, that's financially inappropriate. and we're into ledge, and that's unfortunate. I mean, I beg to disrespect. I've been in this business now, unfortunately, for 52 years, and we built and dug some incredibly complicated and deep holes. If you go into Boston right now, you see there's a hole in the corner of, everybody will know exactly what it is, in the corner of Arlington Street and Wilson Street, which used to be the Shreves Building, where we have a 50-foot deep hole. The subway runs on 2 sides, and the steam line runs on 1 side. And we were able to dig this hole and make a deal financially feasible in today's world to build an office building on top of that. So I think that taking out 200 or 300 yards of ledge and cutting out, and you know, there are places you can't blast, and then there's line drilling. There's 1,000 ways to get this ledge. I mean, all of Manhattan is on ledge. They managed to build it. So it's not inappropriate. If you had to take 300 yards of ledge out, you take 300 yards of ledge out. In a worst case, it's $100,000. No, it's $30,000 or $40,000. You take out as much ledge as you need to get to the depth of pool you want. Nobody says the pool needs to be 8 foot or 8'6" or 9 feet or 10 feet deep. Your pool, I think, is 8 feet deep. It was originally 8 on the drawings. And it's going to be slightly more than that because you made it an infinity pool, so there's no.
It's not, it's just, it's a regular pool.
Now it's a regular pool.
It was never an infinity pool.
Never.
It was called an infinity pool here, but it was never.
It was on one of the drawings I saw. It doesn't really matter. The point is you have to catch the water and go to the top. I guess my point is, there is a way to get to the middle here that is compromised on 3 numbers, as I mentioned last time. They all have associated costs. They all have implications for the view from others. And it gets to something that, well, I would say, you could get to something that works. It only works if you're going to agree that it has to come before this board. It has to be this board that decides it. Obviously, we're prepared to litigate this one, if that's necessary. If anybody has any technical questions for me, as I said to somebody, I have no specific competence, but 50 years in business.
I have a question. Have you been engaged by Rob to advise him officially?
No, I wouldn't be engaged.
Would you be willing to be?
Certainly, just like Jim Collins, I'm a lifetime volunteer. You know, I mean, I think that whether it's a school thing that we're involved in or something like this, I just think when I first moved to Westport, there was rumor that Donald Trump, and I'm not making this up, that Donald Trump was flying around in a helicopter trying to find a big piece of land to do a casino.
We called him on that. It wasn't. It was an
And I'm
amusement
sorry,
park.
they actually built 3 40-story towers for Donald Trump, so I know how bad that could be. And, you know, part of the beauty is what it is. I mean, it's hard to believe, but it's beautiful because it's dark.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, it's,
absolutely.
you know, we don't have, and that was intriguing to us. And the reason that we bought, and we bought really on a whim, was that we knew it would always be this way. It wouldn't be like other things. Like I built a lot of condos in Miami. It wouldn't be Miami Beach, no matter what happens, right? So that's the beauty of the place to me. And I just think we need to make sure that there's a process in place that all of us can honor and respect and deal with the whims of individual opinions. I think you said it very well. Somebody might have approved this 30 years ago. Well, that's not our eyes. And they're different now. And that's why we have commissions, and that's why they change over time. So if anybody had any other technical things, I'd be happy to answer.
John, just to be clear, if I understood, you proposed to Mr. Bronca a 3'6" wall?
No, what I proposed was that we cut down the existing structure by 2 or 3 feet. That we berm up, instead of berming up a lot, berm up less so that it isn't an obvious berm. I mean, changing, you know, I think he can make the case that 100 years from now, nobody will know if that was burned 100 years from now or 10 years ago or 100 years ago. Right? And I have a situation, I tried to convert I have a pond on my property, and about 10 years ago I decided I wanted to have fish in the pond. And so I started a process of hiring all the consultants you needed to find out if I could propagate fish there. I wanted to get a fish propagator's license. And I said, I can't think of anything better than standing here with a 7-year-old with a fishing rod and catching a trout. I can't imagine anything nicer. So I got through all this process, and then I brought the conservation, and it's in a conservation easement that we gave up. So I brought the Conservation Commission down to look at it. And they looked at me and said, "You're out of your mind." I said, "Why? This is such a great, this property was used by the farm, and they dug this, it's 12 feet deep over there, and we could, you know, clean this up. You don't get it." I said, "Well, I told the story about the fishing." I said, "Have your grandson walk 100 feet to the river and fish there. This is a natural, this now is a natural pond that is naturally infilling with all the stuff that's happening around it. No matter what you do, we're not going to let you change this pond." And it like struck me. It was like, of course, what was I thinking of? So I can catch, you know, 100 trout that the birds in the rookery don't get. So that kind of brings me to this. There's a solution here, Rob, that we can get to, that'll work for you, that'll satisfy the neighbors, that will make it feel like it's part of the point. Is it gonna be more, it's gonna be more expensive than, I think it's gonna be more, obviously more expensive than the path you're on right now, and a lot less expensive than you and me fighting this out in court for the next 2 or 3 years, which is what it'll take, or 7 years. 7. So that's what, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is, Mr. Bronca, are you willing to compromise?
Yes, and John and I met for a few hours. We ran out of time as a work committees that we both had, but I think we're going to continue to talk. But he had some good ideas. There are some things we can do, and I think, again, without cutting it down, because I had a contractual commitment for the money I spent that's already there. That money's gone, that's lit on fire if I have to take it out. That's a significant problem. And we got there because we got there, right? Because of the process that we went through, and that's where we are. But there are things I can change that aren't built yet that I can take out. For example, John, you had mentioned this one here. We don't need that. That's basically to provide privacy in that pergola area. We don't need to have it. I can take that out. That takes out some of that stone. The pergola, I don't think is inappropriate. There are pergolas everywhere.
Not metal pergolas. This is a metal-based pergola.
Right, but it looks like wood.
It's not metal.
But it is.
In any event, it can be, it's irrelevant for this discussion. We can take that out. There are other things we can do on the high points of the wall where we can have more detailed, and we had talked, and I thought it was a constructive conversation at the last hearing, about sort of a terracing type aspect. So it looks like more than one wall, so that no one wall appears to be 8 feet tall, 8 feet 10 inches tall. We've already figured out a way to take 30 inches off it. We can probably do more with that. We also are proposing a porch on the side. I don't want to lose sight of that. We have pictures of what we're proposing there. That's less glass than there's there now. There's a greenhouse there that has panes missing out and panes missing out. When we bought the house, I had 2 of my hounds jump right through 2 other panes. So that's got to go. There's a walk out there now. There's like a parapet on top of that greenhouse. It's not safe. We're looking to replace that. We can change the look of that. That's, again, and this is a house, again, it's not a historic home, as you know. This is a house that John and I were joking, it's Maxwell moves to South Florida. This is the house he built. It sort of looks like a colonial, but it's not. But again, we're trying to make it fit in. Yes, it's a large wall, it's a large pool. Well, it's not a large pool, but it's a large wall, but it was required to do what we needed to do. And again, the particular characteristics of the site led to that design because of the ledge, because of the changing grades, because of the way the house is built. And again, it's a legal 2-family. It was used as a 2-family. They used to rent out the lower level. We haven't done that. We're still renovating the inside of the house. This was part of this preparing the house for us to move to it full-time. But again, and then there's a whole other grade thing going on there with that walkout level there in all the improvements that are there. And then we had other changes we had to make as it was while we bought the house. It was a very buyer-friendly process without an inspection and an auction type bidding thing. We found out there was water stuff. We had to change the roof immediately. We did that.
Well, that isn't relevant. That discussion, I'd rather not take up the time with that.
Okay.
I'd just like to ask a question. So the saw cut is out?
I don't think we can afford to do it given the contract spend that we were forced to make. I would have to redo the whole thing, and I don't think we're in a financial position to do that.
I need to respond to that just as a business person. I mean, you're looking at 7 years of legal bills with a downtown Boston law firm. I mean, you will eat through that difference in cost in year 1. So to me, that financial calculation makes no sense.
No, also you told us that that we were jeopardizing, the commission was jeopardizing your children's future education financially.
That's not what I said, but.
Well, it was. And in the same breath, you told us you had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars already on
Correct.
this. And you said it would cost you prohibitive to lower the wall, and John Moriarty, who very kindly has given his time and advice, said it would cost about $40,000. Now, for somebody who spent $1 million plus over ask to buy this house, $40,000 isn't going to break the bank.
So, I'm not here to get financial advice from you?
No,
but-
and you're not going to. But what I do want to say is that I feel, the commission feels, your neighbors feel like they have been bullied from the get-go on this. You're not willing to make any compromises. You make words that say that, but you're not really willing to. And it's not simply a pool, it's a huge structure. Then you want to put a deck and a pergola on it. You could afford to lower it if you wanted to. If you wanted to compromise, last time we talked about compromise, harmony, consideration of your neighbors, consideration of the historic district. Do you ask yourself at night, how is this going? I live in a very modern house. It's, you know, it was built 12 years ago from a 1940s house. I get it, but I felt this huge, compelling need to make it fit in an historic way. And now it looks more historic than it did before. But do you ask yourself, how is this really going to look historic? How is a glass wall going to look historic? How is all the things that you put in here going to fit into an historic district?
When the project is complete, we believe it will.
You also say that you don't want to go to Superior Court,
No, I don't.
but you filed a complaint.
I have an attorney, and I'm following my attorney's advice. My attorney's doing the things that she believes are correct to protect my family's rights. And again, and the reason I actually reached out to John was when he spoke last time, when he talked about the integrity of the point, the ability of the Historic Commission to review projects. And that, well, he thinks I've got some master plan to destroy, to lay a blueprint for people to get around. That's not exactly not what I did. And I explained what happened. My contractors filed for permits. They got the permits.
Okay.
They didn't say.
So cut to the chase. You filed a complaint in Superior Court, correct?
I did not. Well, I didn't file anything. My
On
attorney
your
filed.
behalf.
Yes.
Now, you heard the treasurer's report tonight. We have $856, not thousands of dollars, in our budget here. You want us, the town, to pay for your attorney's fees in Superior Court, if
I
you want.
specifically said I didn't want to go to Superior Court.
But it's already been filed.
And
We haven't served anything, so no one has to answer, no one has to spend.
Oh, come on, Mr. Branca, let's not
So
twist words.
I want to be clear what you're asking.
I'm asking if you're really willing to make any compromises, or you're
I'm
just
here.
jerking our
If I
chin.
wanted to just go to Superior Court, I would not be spending time there. We all have other things to
But
do.
this is the fourth time you've been here, and we've gotten nowhere.
Third, yeah.
Third, whatever, it'll be the fourth. And if you would took John's advice, you would have come with some real serious compromising plans here. And you didn't. This is not at all different. It's 60 by 90, massive walls, massive structure. So I just need to see something from you that's
We
different
can
than what
come
we
back.
said.
Like I said, we're willing to put those lines.
Something serious this time, though, because it's getting to be a real waste of time.
This is serious. We've demonstrated in photograph what this will look like when it's done.
And you need to give us some respect.
That,
We do
Sorry, have I
have
acted
jurisdiction.
disrespectfully?
Yes, you've said basically we don't have any jurisdiction over half of the things you want to do.
I've just
You need to give us some
read
respect.
your regulations, and I've cited your regulations.
Just say yes or no.
That's all I've done.
You will or you won't. I
I'm
don't want to
sorry.
hear you anymore.
I do think John's point about jurisdiction. Do you feel we have any jurisdiction over you?
I'm not, you have an attorney, you can ask your attorney. I'm
I'm
not here,
asking you.
you asked me not to bring an attorney,
Well,
and I
I'm not
didn't
an
bring
attorney
it.
either. I'm
So I'll
just-
have my attorney speak for me, you can ask her those questions. I'll bring her next time, if that's what you
So
want.
the answer to my question is no, you don't feel we have jurisdiction over you.
What I believe what I said is that I'm not trying to lay a blueprint for anybody else to not have to
But
come before
We're
you.
going to make an exception in your case.
That's not what
because
I'm
you've got
saying.
Your 9-foot wall.
That is not what I'm saying.
Well, the issue
I believe I've been clear.
Hmm?
I believe I've been clear.
Okay.
And not combative. I'm trying to explain what the design is, what it's going to look like to address the mischaracterizations. There are a variety of other things I could talk about, but I'm not going to, because again, I'm trying to get to a place where the commission can feel that the project is appropriate. And again, if I need to, we haven't even thought of a lighting plan, because lighting is not going to be a major part of this project. Again, the site's dark. I know what it's like. We spend summers there. I know what it is.
Let's forget the lighting. Let's open this to other people who would like to speak.
The next time the applicant comes, he should, oh, sorry, my name is Betty Slade.
And can you
Talk
speak
louder.
into the mic, please?
I am.
Talk louder.
Okay? Can you hear now?
Better.
Okay, better? Okay. I'd like for you to look to show the south side of your property. The south side. Not now, but look at the houses, the greenery, the way that the south side looks in the four properties. You're comparing it with a street, Valentine Lane, that has very small properties and fairly big houses on them. But if you look at the four properties along the south, it is the most unique part of the historic district. It's the most beautiful part.
That would be this
No,
view here.
no.
This is the south.
I said the four properties to the south. Look at those. So I'd like you to bring those in and compare it. And you were once part of that, but now you have this structure. So I'd like you to look at that. The other is that you talk about walls, and you talk about the so-called retaining wall around your pool, and you compare it with a stone wall along the boundary. They aren't the same thing. The commission doesn't have authority over walls and fences. Think of a fence and a wall. What do they look like as opposed to what this retaining wall looks like? So you have to give authority to the commission that they're looking at a structure. You've built a structure, and all of the law says that. But you keep saying this is just a wall, a vertical division between two pieces of property. That's not what this is. So those are the two things I think that it'd be really useful to address as far as your authority is the first one, and second is what is this property? Where is it? Not up against Valentine Lane, but down to the south.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Could you give your name, please?
My name is Gregory Noel. I'll try to speak. Kevin Wendell is making me do front teeth, so I'll do the best I can. May I put this on your drawing? I just want to make a little sketch. This is my phone now. To Betty's point, the most predominant feature, or one of the things we do in the district, and the commission helps us do, is preserve the natural landscape. The second thing is everything that's built upon it. So the biggest move, the biggest thing we see is this very long, sloping thing. As soon as you come around the corner, or you come into the harbor, you see there's just this long slope of land. And then it's segmented by all these little walls. These are freestanding walls. And because looking down and plan now, this is Main Road. And this is the bank of the west branch of the river, Main Road. Valentine Lane, we have all these houses here. And then we have houses, houses, houses. This house, houses, houses, houses. Everyone's got their little wall. As soon the applicant's desire in plan, before I get to that, some of these houses have little porches. And because they're all built on a slope, all the houses have some degree of retaining wall or exposed foundation, including your building, which I'm very familiar with. Someday I'll tell you the story about the Christmas Yule log fire.
Oh, yes, go for it.
So that anything on the slope is going to be at grade on the high side, and it's going to be showing something on the low side, including the applicant's house before anything was built, because that house was further down. It was more into the slope than some of these others, and in fact did have two small in length retaining walls to keep back the grade, and then they were masked with boulders and plantings and stuff. That is very different from then in plan, looking down, building a bulwark that comes out like this. This particular one wants to hold the pool. There's no reason, if this sets a precedent, there's no reason why when this house sells, they might put in tennis or pickleball courts. Or this person could do something else, and then we'll have a whole nother form language on the point, which are these big foundations made out of concrete that are going to then have a stone veneer pasted onto it to look kind of like what all this stuff is. And then all of a sudden, as you come around the point in your boat, or you come into the harbor, and as soon as you get an angled view on any of this stuff, you're going to see these huge things jutting out into this once gentle landscape. I think, frankly, anything like this, especially at that height, is utterly inappropriate, and I would urge this commission to deny the applicant's application. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? If not, we can do two things. We can take a vote, or we can continue the hearing to the next meeting.
So, I'd like to take John Moreira's advice, go back to what's there, see if we can change what's there, draw it out onto the wall that's there now, and have you come and look at it and give your opinions, and continue it to the next hearing. And hopefully between now and then we get a block of weather that's
Okay.
acceptable.
So we would need that in writing, and our attorney can, we have the form here.
We have a form for continuance, yes, and it has to be agreed to by the applicant, and then we have
I
to,
have a request for it.
we have to say when it's going to be continued to, the time and the date.
So, and one more wrinkle, Mr. Vice Chair, under the commission bylaws, you have 45 days from the application being submitted to issue a determination. that would also need to be extended with the applicant.
I have a question, though, on that point. Doesn't the application have to be complete before the 45-day clock starts ticking?
No,
No?
I mean.
Is
the-
this
the-
considered a
the
complete
commission has
application?
opened- The commission has taken the application under consideration and opened the public hearing, so the 45 days.
So can
would
you
be-
just advise us, what is the starting date of the 45 days? Was it last meeting?
No, it was either December 19th or 20th. I
But
think.
he went for a certificate of non-applicability. We denied that.
Both applications were filed on the same date.
So the certificate of applicability, that is when the date starts, the time clock starts for the 45 days,
When the application is submitted.
even if it was incomplete. We believe it was incomplete, didn't have the
It-
didn't have lighting
Right.
plan, didn't have a
It-
lot of things.
If that is how the commission ultimately determines that it wants to
That was
deny,
incomplete.
it will, and I believe we put that into a letter or an email to the applicant's counsel. If you want to give me 1 minute, I can review the bylaw and see. if it
Sure, can
says
you just
whether
see
it's
if we have
complete
this
or not.
45-day time clock or not? Thank you.
The bylaw says that we can continue, not the bylaw, but the rules and regulations.
Right. So
And they can
the
agree
point
to
is
that.
there's two things, there's the hearing, but then there's also the application determination window. So if Mr. Bronk is willing to continue both, it's not wrong. I just want
Okay.
to make sure that it's clear in whatever submitted.
We would have to have that in writing,
Yes.
Mr. Bronca.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Before,
Yes,
I don't believe,
Wait, he wanted to make a
Mr.
point.
Chairman, I do not believe that the commission is required to agree to a continuance. And I suggest that in order to agree, as a precondition, you state that Mr. Bronca has to agree that the commission has jurisdiction and negate his reservation of rights.
Mr. Vice Chair, so
Yeah.
what bylaw section 5906 says is that the commission shall make its determination within 45 days after the filing of the application, not that it was a completed submission. So the application was filed, I believe, either December 19th or 20th. That brings the 45 days up through the calendar yesterday with continuation based on a Sunday, that'd be today. The applicant has stated that he's willing to submit in writing that that be continued along with the public hearing.
yes.
I don't think you have an obligation to continue this. You can, if you want, you can deny it today, and you can condition your continuance on his agreement that your commission has jurisdiction. And I think that's a fundamental thing to make sure this doesn't happen again.
If the applicant, Mr. Bronca, is willing to state that he's willing to accept our authority, will he do that?
I don't know, you have to ask him.
Well, I'm asking him.
57.
I believe the request is a violation of our civil rights, first of all.
Wow.
Here we go.
No, it
It's a
is.
yes or no answer.
Okay. You know, it's
It's a yes or no
law.
answer.
It's the law. No, it's the law. And I'm not represented by counsel because you exhibited hostility to me bringing an attorney to the hearing. It's on tape. It's on tape.
Yeah, I don't think so. Show us.
So I'll bring counsel to the next hearing and we can address that.
Well, no.
Or we can
are-
litigate. I don't want to litigate.
I think we should take the
You don't
advice
want to, but you
of
do.
the attorney that's representing the abutters and ask you a simple question: do you accept our authority?
I'm here, I filed a certificate for a certificate of applicability, and I'm here.
We can vote on that.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I may.
Yes.
If the applicant is willing to continue the hearing and continue the determination date, it's my recommendation that that motion be taken as is and the issue of jurisdiction be left for council. The commission can decide if it wants to have Mr. Bronca back one more time, or if we've heard enough, then I would recommend you simply proceed to a vote on the application, and not concern yourselves with the questions of the legality of the jurisdiction.
If I may, I think the commission and Mr. Moriarty and the abutters really do want to compromise. We don't want to go to court with Mr. Branca any more than he wants to go to court with us.
Correct.
Okay? But it's really important to Mr. Moriarty and the others that he agree that he made a mistake, that he should have gone to you for a certificate of appropriateness for any one of the three before he started to build. And that you have the jurisdiction to review his project, period. And if you don't, you know, I think that is a very big issue. If he does, we can continue to work together. If he doesn't, I think if you refuse the continuance, then we'll have a court decide whether you have jurisdiction in the district or you don't.
Okay, so as I understand this then, if he does not accept the fact that we have the jurisdiction and state it, then
you refuse the continuance and you vote.
No,
That's not,
Mr. Vice Chair, the
Yeah.
Butters Council is, with all due respect, not trying to direct. He can certainly relay what his clients are willing to do, depending on what Mr. Branca says or doesn't say. And maybe if Mr. Branca doesn't publicly state that he's accepting the commission's jurisdiction, the continuance is a moot point because the abutters aren't willing to discuss further under those circumstances. But you do not have to condition a motion on Mr. Branca accepting jurisdiction. The process has been playing out over the last 2 meetings, and you are here, you've heard Mr. Branca, you've heard the abutters. It's up to you to decide whether you feel like this is going in a constructive direction or if you're ready to make a vote on the application.
and we proceeded under an agreement that we were going to reserve rights. So,
Not in agreement with us.
I'm sorry, which one of your clients is a seat on the commission? I'm not being flippant, I'm just saying, let's be legally accurate with what we're doing.
To be legally accurate.
So I,
Well, just wait a minute,
Bill, may I
one
ask-
at a time here.
Bill, may I say something?
Yes.
I agree with town council that we should continue this to another meeting without condition. I think the application is incomplete. I think the applicant has been unwilling to compromise, but I think we should continue it and give him one more chance to come back with a complete application, which includes lighting, railings, pergola, materials, paint colors, all the things that we require for a
We can
project.
do that.
Yes.
And also to take into account our concerns about the mass of the structure, which so far you have not done.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I respectfully disagree with Mr. Stuck and council, who I respect. I think that this is a fundamental issue, and you have an opportunity to assert the commission's authority to make sure that Mr. Branca, in good faith, recognizes the jurisdiction of the commission. This is an enormous departure from all precedents in the district before. He built without even going to you. Your guidelines say you're supposed to come and talk to us. Every piece of legislation, bylaws, and guidelines dictate that he comes to you before he builds. He did it. It's a fundamental issue, and I think you should stand up for yourself and say, you agree that we have jurisdiction, or we're denying you deny.
Mr. Vice Chair, just one more point. The commission's notice of violation is still pending. So if at some point the commission decided to no longer continue the hearing and make a determination, it would also still have the option of exercising its rights under that notice of violation, which would include proceeding to enforce the violation of the commission regulations and bylaws itself. So I also respect Mr. Feingold very much, but I disagree that the commission must hear some acknowledgement or admission from Mr. Branca in order to continue the public hearing and the determination date.
I think, well, the commission has to make a decision now. And I think that, you know, it doesn't make any sense to continue a hearing if we're not going to have compromise.
Agreed, yeah.
You know, you could go continue, but we're going to get nowhere and we're wasting our time. So, are we going to have compromise?
I believe I said we would.
I know, but you did not say the saw cut was in the compromise.
I believe there are other avenues to deal with it. There are parts of that wall that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
That we can remove. I said that right already.
Will you considerably reduce the mass? 60 by 90 and what, 5,000 square feet?
Let's be clear.
What about the? Yeah, let's
To
be clear.
fill, this is a retaining wall, retaining a grade up here. This was the grade.
Can you answer a question, just yes or no? Are you willing to considerably compromise with the size of the mass? Yes or
It's
no?
already there. So what I'm telling you is this is the only part that was filled. This was the only part that was filled. This was the grade.
All right, I
This
think
is
that
the
is a
grade
no.
here.
What about the issue of ledge? Because,
And
John,
ledge, there's ledge.
well, but the ledge can be reduced.
I would have to remove the entire project
Never.
and start it over.
Could we ask that question to Mr. Moriarty? Would you mind, Mr. Moriarty, comment on what you just said?
That's a good
You
idea.
don't have to discuss that, that's
I
fine.
don't think you
I
do.
respect his
We haven't heard.
opinion.
I don't think you have to remove everything in order to.
A large part of it.
Well, you
Respectfully
know,
disagree.
we get into what can be done, anything can be done.
Right.
Mr. Moriarty has said that. He knows the business. So, and at the cost, well, that's another matter. That's not up to us. If we want it done, it's to be done. But we're not going to go on and on with these continuations when I see that
Or
there's
be
just...
bullied.
Hmm?
I said, or be bullied.
Well, that's another point. But we also have to consider our counsel's advice. So I think that my opinion would be to continue, to allow a continuance. Because
If
of
there's good
counsel's advice, and either way, yes.
Mr. Vice Chair, let me be clear. I'm not recommending one way or the other whether the commission continue or determine tonight. That's entirely up to you. I think you've had 2 sessions of a public hearing. You've heard Mr. Bronca. If the commission's take is that you are ready to make a determination on the application as it currently stands, you're well within your rights to do so. You're also well within your rights to accept Mr. Bronca's request for a continuance and say, okay, we'll give you one more shot. My only recommendation as town council is that if you proceed with continuation, you do not need to condition it on some acknowledgement of jurisdiction or anything like that. That was the point that I was trying to make.
Okay, so that sort of changes things. He can, Mr. Bronca can always reapply.
Yes.
Okay.
At the same time, he would also have rights under section 12A of chapter 40C to appeal a determination. You could do either.
Okay, so my opinion is that we take a vote on this.
A vote on the continuance or a vote to deny the
No,
application?
a vote on, well,
On the certificate of
we need a
appropriateness.
motion. If the people feel that motion should be to deny, make a motion. Would anyone make a motion?
I move that we continue this to the March meeting.
Is there a second? Okay,
I
Another
move
motion?
that we deny the application as filed.
is there a
I
second?
second it.
Second.
All in favor, we need a voice vote.
Roll call, if you will.
Okay, I mean a roll call.
I, Beverly Shaw.
Deborah Chialfi,
William Kendall, aye.
Carol Crowe, what am I voting on?
to deny the
Deny.
application.
Aye.
Garrett Stark, aye.
Okay, so that's settled.
So, Mr. Vice Chair, two more things at this point. One, under the regulations, because you denied the certificate of appropriateness, you do have to do the consideration of whether the applicant is entitled to a certificate of hardship. And then the second thing is you also can, but do not have to, decide whether the commission wants to proceed on the pending notice of violation and request town council bring enforcement action on the pending violation.
Okay, so this is something we do now, and could you guide us with this?
So, let me get your regulations out. Under Article 7, and it's Section C, no, Section D4, in the case when an application for a certificate of appropriateness is not approved, the commission shall consider if the application meets the criteria for a certificate of hardship. Those criteria are set forth out in Article 7, Section E, and it provides the certificate of hardship may be issued to an applicant on the basis of the criteria set forth in General Law, Chapter 40C, Section 10. I have a copy of Chapter 40C available if you want me to bring it up. In addition to the criteria necessary to obtain a certificate of appropriateness, the additional criteria are: the commission must determine whether A, whether owing to conditions especially affecting the building or structure involved, but not affecting the district generally, failure to approve an application will involve a substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the application, and B, such application may be approved without substantial detriment to the public welfare and without substantial derogation from the intent and purposes of Chapter 40C. Applicants must provide sufficient evidence to the commission that these two criteria have been met by the applicant and the proposal.
This is something we can vote on now?
It seems to me the applicant needs to provide evidence of hardship before we could vote on it.
Or attempt to.
So is that evidence available tonight?
We would have to file an application for that.
So
Okay.
that'll be up to the applicant to do that.
And there was one other thing?
The second thing is whether the commission wants to move forward with enforcement on the notice of violation that precipitated the public hearing and the filing of the applicant's application for a certificate of appropriateness. You either can say, yes, we want to, no, we don't want to, or we're not going to make a decision at this time and hold the notice of violation open.
Can you tell us what the implications of those various choices are?
If you vote to proceed on the notice of violation, it means you are asking town council to initiate an enforcement action in Superior Court. If you vote not to proceed on the notice of violation, basically means you're not asking town council to file an enforcement action in Superior Court. Mr. Bronco will of course have his rights under 40C, Section 12A to appeal the determination to deny the COA. And the third option is just hold the notice of violation in abeyance and take no action on it.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is it's ultimately a policy decision, but it seems like with the commission's determination to deny the applicant, I'm fairly confident Mr. Bronco is going to exercise his appeal rights, and so the matter will be proceeding to Superior Court anyway. Given that, and given the fact that I heard from the commission that the fact that the applicant did the work before coming forward was a significant reason for denying the application, and then authorizing an enforcement action is probably what I'm hearing you will want to do. But it's up to you, it's a policy decision.
Well, just kind of confusing.
I move that we authorize.
Pardon?
I move that we authorize
Town council
town council to go ahead.
to enforce the action. I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do a roll call?
Do the roll call.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Garrett Stock, aye.
Bolger? Aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
Beverly Shook, aye.
Okay, you'll need to do a written decision on the determination, setting out the reasons why the application for the COA was denied, and that will have to be recorded with the town clerk, which will then trigger the applicant's time to file an appeal in the Superior Court.
Is there a time frame on that?
I believe there is. I'll look it up and make sure that that information is relayed to the commission.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other business to come before the meeting?
Yes, I would like to welcome our newest future member of the Historic Commission, Ian James. He's, what, 18 days old?
I can maybe
You know better than me.
Don't worry, 70 years from now, we'll be sitting wherever the meeting held and doing great schools and commissions. So thanks for all.
The best behaved little baby yet.
That baby hasn't sort of peaked.
No, he's so precious.
Yeah, I know. But is there any other business to come
Don't
before
we have
the
the
meeting?
demolition guy coming?
Huh?
The guy for the demolition?
Yeah, that's right.
He has
Okay,
business
you can
before
sit
us.
down here.
Oh, you're back, yeah.
Yeah, we have the demolition. He's going to give us a new drawing of what it's going to look like.
I don't have any
We wait till things settle down.
Yeah, but we voted on the last time.
Okay, please clear the room. Please clear the room.
We have more
another
business to conduct,
hearing.
please go home.
Did you receive another certificate of non-applicability?
Did you go by the property?
You know what, when I saw you, I think I should.
I have a couple pictures here. It's a street.
Nothing. Thank you.
And I will email Jim to confirm when the written decision has to be submitted to the town.
An email run about
Yes.
the written decision.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
All righty, so last time he was here, we did the demo discussion, right?
Yeah, we just wanted more information, a clearer picture of what the house is gonna look
Yes.
like, height, shingles, all that good stuff. And then I did print out a plot plan with the existing structures on this first page, and then on the second page,
Thank you, Becky.
I overlaid where the new house is gonna go in relation to
Jurisdiction of the shingles.
And then I
That's all
have-
he's doing.
Not on the same color?
No, it's the same. It's almost, you'll see, it's right in the picture. And then I just put what it's gonna look like in the front.
It's, who is it, Jackson?
Yeah, so this was the last one I had, and now you've changed it, right? So we-
Not much, but it is, we're doing the right color, yeah.
Clemmy, you were. C-L-E-double-M.
How are you, Garrett?
I think we just have to give him permission to demolish.
Do you have
Bye, Ian.
the photo of the original house?
Yes, do you have it?
I might have it.
I do, I have it from the street view, so I took a bunch of pictures from the street view, and in fact, how it relates to the Howland House there as well.
That's the point.
Yeah, so these are all from the street view, these photos.
Yeah.
So
This
you
is
can
from the,
see- This is what it looks like from the street.
Oh, you've
so-
got a current one, okay.
Yeah, I have a bunch of photos that
All
I
right, that's
took
great.
all along the street. So one end of the property to the other, all along the stone wall on the street. So they're all different, but you can see some of the view is blocked by the sheds, some by the solar panels that were already there. And you can see all that. I apologize for the black and white. My printer ran out of color right when I was putting it.
Okay, let me just officially start this continuation of a hearing for demolition for 212 Holland Road. Holland Road is in Westport Harbor, which is in the Ocoxet area. And the house that we're considering is a house that was built in 1890, and it's a farmhouse. And if you can see the photographs here that show it in its setting, and is there a photograph that shows the Holland house?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, there's one right there, yeah,
Okay.
that's
And
it.
is that the house?
That, it's the little house there, yeah, that's offset. The Howland house is the next door property. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
It's about 200 feet off of the street, the house, or off of the well, so it's a little over 200 feet.
at the previous meeting, I said, I happen to live in the harbor, so I see this house all the time. And admire, of course, the Holland House, which is a landmark in Westport Harbor. Magnificent Victorian house. The house that we're considering is not, in my estimation, something that is historically, or let's just say, architecturally significant in its design, its features. It's just a very simple, vernacular farmhouse. It's been there a long time, since 1880, 1890, and it's become a part of the landscape there. And so, and it's the proximity to the Howland House makes it a kind of a sensitive property, where we certainly wouldn't want to see something that did not sort of match in with this structure. And that's what we were talking about last time. And we asked Jonathan to come back and just think about it and how it could more fit what was being demolished.
Can I look at the pictures again?
Did I have another one of those? Oh, there's mine, okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's the street view photo, but I have the rest of the plans here if you want to take a look at the rest of the house. It's basically taking the existing structure, making it, we'll remove it, but in its place will be a similar box right here.
which is quite similar to
What's there, right? So we just make it bigger because we want to have a first floor bedroom for when we grow old. And then we added a breezeway and then the garage here. And then there's just a deck out here with a screened-in porch.
Farmhouse.
So
it's a farmhouse, yeah.
It's a farmhouse.
Yep.
So we don't want to
And
build.
you're cleaning up all those little sheds out of the way,
Yeah,
just,
I grew up on Cornell Road. You know my stepfather Rick and my mom Sarah. We grew up on Cornell Road. I'm a member at all the clubs down there and everything. We spend a lot of time down there. My kids are now boating and going to the beach and playing golf and all that good stuff. But we really didn't want to build something like you see in the corner down by the beach there.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
First of all, I don't have the money for that. But second of all, I want to blend into the neighborhood. My stepfather, Rick Desjardins, you know, he's a lawyer in town. He says, John, my advice to you is don't be that guy. And I'm not that guy, and I don't want to be that guy. So we, yeah, I'm not that guy, which is why I'm here. But it is basically just putting another very simple farmhouse type, but bigger, so we can put the first floor bedroom in, and then adding on a garage and a breezeway. And that's it.
Well, it certainly seems respectful, you know, to the nature of the land and the other houses and all. I think, you know, the only thing is it's not 1880s now. Now it's 2024. So we will sadly miss, you know, the age of what was there and what that represented. but, you know.
That's the point, but,
Well, the nice thing is, and I'm a woodworker myself, I do that on my side for fun.
Can we just look at that elevation you have there with the fenestration that you're planning, the one you had on top?
This
Just-
one?
Yeah, that one. Because I'm just curious about these windows that don't seem to really,
Yeah, so,
they're not in.
well, here's the thing. We are talking about the old house.
Yes.
And whether it's significant. The purpose of the demolition law and what we have to use as our decision-making is whether it, and this is the wordage, whether it is historically significant, architecturally or historically in some way to the town of Westport. As far as what he's building there, we do not have any jurisdiction.
We have no
over that.
jurisdiction, okay.
We would like to make suggestions, and we did make suggestions last time, but we really have to, we can only concentrate on that building. So I think we have to decide and to make a motion whether to approve or deny this.
Okay, let me just ask John, is there anything salvageable?
That's what I'm gonna
The
do. So-
windows, the beams, the
Yep.
whatever.
So there's some old beams in the basement holding the house up on these old juniper, spruce type posts, the old trees that they used to cut down. But I'm retaining those. There's a beautiful soapstone stink in the basement that I'm gonna keep. All the flooring, the old flooring, I'm gonna do that myself. I'm gonna tear it all up. I'm gonna use it
Reclaim.
in the new house.
Nice.
Reclaim that. Any of the trim that is salvageable. The house has been clad in vinyl. There's two lousy additions that have been added onto it. It used to be a barn, now it's a house. The ceilings are real short, but there is some wood. The cabinets are all old and stinky, they literally. So I can't really save, unfortunately, kitchen cabinets. But the trim and the really cool floor, the wood floor, beautiful wood flooring, I'm absolutely saving all that. So I'm going to try to take as much as I can. And with any kind of indoor window trim on the first floor, the second floor is no good. But the first floor, I'm that guy. I love that historical stuff, and I'm definitely going
Because
to
as
try
Bill
to salvage
said,
that.
it doesn't really have the architectural distinction of, of an old house that's worth saving the whole house, but.
Well, we would just write some recommendations on the fenestration. Where is this facing?
So that's facing the Howland House. What you see on the left there is facing the street, Howland Road. So that's facing the ocean, what you see there. And the reason for the windows, these are 2 bedrooms right here. There's gonna be beds underneath here. So we wanted light to come in, but the beds to come up right under the window. So that's that. This is a stairwell. So right at the landing, that's where those windows are. And then this is just dining and living, and then another bedroom up here, or
Well,
office space.
you might consider, this is perfect.
That's what the street sees. That's what you see from the
But
street.
you're gonna see this from the side.
From the side, yeah, but not from the street per se.
Yeah, right.
And it's still 200 feet off of the
Yeah,
street.
okay.
So
Just a suggestion that
Make them
you
more-
look at antique
Yeah.
houses or the houses of this period. Because what I'm saying, and I think you're saying, is we're not talking about the old farmhouse now. We're just saying, if you're gonna build a house that replicates, a farmhouse in New England with it's really Greek Revival style, with the gable pediment gable facing the road, why not do it so it is a replica?
Sure.
It would make you feel better to have something better designed.
I agree.
And the windows are glaring, so
Understood.
that's it. Okay.
Yeah, and I think they shouldn't have that black trim, the windows. That's,
I like the black trim.
what's that?
It's
That's,
not a modern farmhouse look.
That's
I like the black.
That's popular.
It's a look
well,
these days.
but it's a look these days, but it's not very historically accurate.
No,
Yeah.
the windows with the mutton bars, and all that are New England all the way.
Yep, they would definitely have
Yeah,
the panes.
right.
in-
Okay, could anyone make a motion?
Okay, I move to approve his application for demolition.
I second.
I still have a couple of questions. So you mentioned things that you're going to save on the inside. Is there nothing about the exterior that
No, everything is vinyl clad.
that's all vinyl clad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless even the deck is the composite decking and PVC railings.
Mhm.
It's really not worth saving. But the outside, there's a beautiful eagle above the door that I'll be saving, one of those cool eagles.
I would recommend that the architect take a serious look at houses on Westport Point, because his drawing here does not show what you would like to build. I mean, I can just show you quickly. The larger corner boards, you know, that give it that distinction.
Oh, yes, I know exactly.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that would look great.
This frieze board that goes along like this,
Uh-huh.
you know, is larger, and then usually there are some moldings that go, a molding
I
that
like
goes
that
under
idea.
there. Those things are
Those
what.
little details.
I really like
And
that.
just take photographs and give it to the architect and say, you want it to look a little more like,
Yeah,
especially from the street.
Do
I
you
like that a lot, thank you.
do you have an architect?
Yep, we're using SDC, it's Dana Nilsson.
Mhm.
He's built a couple houses in the harbor area, and he lives in Jamestown and all that.
And I think, I mean, Bill was commenting on the fenestration on the side of the house, which I think doesn't look very traditional with those triple,
Yep,
like even if you took out the middle window in those bedrooms, it would look much more authentic.
I agree. And the intention was to be more functional on the inside, where
Yeah.
you could slide a bed under the window.
Right,
And have the windows above you. And
yeah, but you'll still get, and actually,
Still get a bed wall.
I don't think you'll be happy with that look.
I think you're probably right.
You won't.
Yeah.
We're-
Yeah,
You
see,
can
I-
still get a bed wall, you really
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Just put the bed-
Okay,
and,
let's.
and
let's-
the, and the window in the
done
stairway is
designing your
have a
also,
motion.
it sort of stands out.
Yeah, we wanted to have some illumination on the stairs
Yeah.
there from the outside, but
Yeah.
we'll try to figure out
Yeah,
that
okay.
a little better.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second,
And we have a
Beverly
second.
seconded, yeah.
Yes.
And so we're having a name vote now.
Beverly Ship, yes.
Deborah Chiaffi, yes.
William Kendall, yes?
Caroline Bolger, yes.
Garrett Stuck, yes.
Great.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna get to the building inspector then.
Yeah, we have to do the demo, will you, this form that we have to fill out, so we'll get that to your building
This-
department, so you can
Oh,
proceed.
perfect, thank
Okay,
you.
so,
Deborah, are you related to Tom Chioffi?
No, there are no Chiaffis around here.
Okay. There's when I worked for Suez, I'm an environmental engineer, and when I worked for them running wastewater and water treatment facilities, Tom Chioffi was my project manager.
Was it LFI too? LFI, not FFI? FFI is more
Maybe it was
common.
Chiat, maybe it was CF.
FFI is
Remember
more
what it was
common.
about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
This
it might have
part,
been
this
Chioffi.
thing is from a specific place in Italy that is only.
Tell you
And
exactly.
well, wait a minute, we're gonna adjourn now.
We're gonna adjourn. I second. We are adjourned.
Do know
All in
my
favor?
former
Aye.
friend actually.
Unanimous.
This is gonna be all,
Brown.